Edition of All Things MSP Live. Tonight is a special edition because we're going to talk about the things that you should know about before going to IT Nation Connect. Now, of course, before we do that, I need to make sure that everything's working. So let's just go ahead and check LinkedIn. All right, it looks like we are live streaming. Let's just make sure the comments work. Good evening, LinkedIn. Make sure I spelled it right. There we go. And Facebook. Let's refresh that. Good evening, Facebook. Actually, I'm going to put ATMSP crew because that's what we call you guys, right? Yep, that one's working. And last but certainly not least, let's go check out and make sure we're live on YouTube as well. And yeah, if you can hear my voice because it's feeding back through. Yeah, we're live on YouTube. So, good evening. YouTube. Man, if I could just type. The problem is my microphone is right here, and so it's kind of in the way of doing that. And I really do need to get, I need to get a quieter keyboard, I think. Actually, let me know if you guys can hear the clickety clack of my keyboard through the live stream, because it's interesting to know. All right, so we are live on all three platforms. We are commenting on all three platforms, and Keith Nelson is in the house. Kind of expected him to show up tonight, especially since he says Sean will be extremely giddy tonight. He's so excited. I'm going to IT Nation. And of course, that is because our guest tonight is Sean Lardo, who just verified in the comments that, yes, we can hear my keyboard. I have I'm looking at new ones. And when I do, I think it's the brown switches or the quiet ones that still have tactile feedback. And so I think that's what we're going to go with when I eventually trade up from this keyboard. I like the clickety clack when I'm typing stuff, but yeah, it just doesn't really work for the live stream. All right, I've got a couple of minutes left, so I'm just going to real quick. Actually, I've only got about a minute left, so let me just cover this. If you are not aware, we do have an All Things MSP patron merchandise page set up over at Threadless. So just go to atmsp.threadless.com and you can buy yourself a t-shirt, a tank top, long sleeve t-shirts, hoodies. You can even buy a puzzle if you want to buy a puzzle. It all goes to support All Things MSP and the content that we create here. That's what we're doing. We're trying to create content that matters to the MSP community. And that's why we cover things like what you should know about going to an event that's coming up, say, next week. All right. So with that, it is 7 o'clock. So let's get this thing started. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of All Things MSP Live. Tonight, we're going to be talking to Sean Lardo about IT Nation Connect and the things that you should know before you head out. We're going to be talking about some of the sessions that are going on. We're going to be talking about some of the different things that you can be a part of. Just all of the myriad of things that make IT Nation special and make it such a great event for this industry. All right. So without further ado, here's Sean.
Hello. Hello there.
Hey, I wanted to make sure we had plenty of time.
We have plenty of time. I think we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it regardless. Don't worry. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty well. It's just it's an exciting time to be in the industry. All this
That's an
stuff
understatement.
going on, all the new technology coming out. I know we're going to talk about Pitch It in a little bit, but
Hmm.
and there's a lot of great, has had some really great contestants this year, and I think the program that you guys put together is really um, is really great when it comes to up and coming vendors in this space, because there are so many of them, and so many of them don't understand this space maybe like some of us veterans do, right? Because there are some unique aspects, I'll call them, of this space that make it different than a lot of the other spaces that you might sell into as a channel partner. So, with that
I
being,
agree.
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You have obviously there's a comment you should probably pull up. I feel like.
I was going to pull this one up. So, yes.
Yeah. No. So no, no. Okay. Anyway, let's get on to business. So yeah, IT Nation Connect is starting next Wednesday, right? Obviously, we're all working overdrive to like get this to make it a great show. For those that weren't around last year, even during a hurricane, we still had 4,000 attendees during the hurricane, and a
Yep.
lot of people that I knew couldn't make it because they didn't get on their plane in time and they shut down the airport. So you figure 4,000 with a hurricane. What are we going to do without a hurricane?
Yeah.
I really. So we prepared, and I know that our numbers are ridiculously high right now that we have for registrants and whatnot. Um, and what it comes down to now for us, and you mentioned pitch it, that starts on day one.
Yep.
So literally, we're kicking off the whole event. We have the morning pre days, but 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard, everybody come to the bar at the where the I forget what room we're in. Gatlin, I think it is A and B. I forget, but we have them anyway. Last year we had over 400 people attend to watch. This year we're hoping for 500 or 600, and it is an open bar for 30 minutes until they get started talking, until we get them up there. So take advantage of it. It's already paid for. We've already started came out of my budget, so might as well take advantage of it.
There
But
you go.
it is exciting, and thank you for the shout out for the program itself. It's come a long way. It's been fun. I wouldn't have been able to do it without like the team that works with me, with Andrea and Louie and Ashley and them and Jess and the whole group that have been around doing this for us. Um, they make it all possible. It's been fun though. It's been a lot of work. Um, a lot of a lot of workarounds to get things rolling. But in the end, though, if you look at the progression of it, last year we had 18 vendors in. This year we have 26 vendors in.
Yeah.
And they represent all different areas of the business. It's not just one. It's not just cybersecurity everyone's talking about. Or now it's AI right now. It went from cybersecurity to AI being everything, right? Which still leads back to cybersecurity somehow. Anyway, it's a combination of everything from sales tools to QBR tools to cybersecurity to notification tools to whatever. I mean, it's everything. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. We went through this process, and I'm glad I'm not one of the judges. I just have to read the report, right? At the end, thank God,
Yep.
because man, from all 26, when we went through the battle royale with Matt Solomon's group, and for the preliminaries to take it down to the three finalists, um, it was they had to pitch twice. They pitched to the what we consider to be what was a private pitch to what would be like investor pitches, where they
Hmm.
were talking to GMs of the company that own P&Ls that talk about what does that mean to us in growth? How do you spend this? How does this make sense to me? Not just the product that you want to buy, but the business behind it, right?
Right.
And so they had their own scoring cards, and they're the ones, and had time to ask questions and whatnot. The second one with Matt Solomon and group of the channel program was a public one. It was
Yep.
online, and but that was all MSP based. That was talking to the clients then, and we weighed out all the comments, because if you ever dealt with Matt Solomon's group, they have a poll they run after every talk, and they have about 5 questions that have 5 different categories. Basically, I think it's 3 questions. I'm sorry, with 5 categories to it, with 5 options to pick from. Where it's like, hey, more than likely to work with, not likely to work with, stuff like that, right? So we literally graded all those based off of that, and we combined them to decide who the 3 finalists were. And it was so close. Literally, all 26, nobody really fell out of favor. That's the thing. It wasn't like we're talking like a
Right.
0.01%. it was ridiculous, and I'm glad I didn't judge.
So real quick, let's give a shout out to the three finalists who are going to find
Ooh.
out, next
Oh
Wednesday.
yeah, we're going to
Um,
compete live. Yes, next Wednesday. Yeah, the three finalists being VCIO Toolbox, Nodeware, and Thread,
okay.
and they are all going to be competing live on stage. They kick off. The actual event kicks off at 3 o'clock. 2:30 to 3 is your chance to come get a drink. Also mingle and talk to people, right, and
Yep.
find out what's going on. From 3 to 4 is the actual competition and also the results. So you will know by 4 o'clock, live sitting there, who took first, second, and third place. They are playing for the winner. The first place winner gets $70,000. And that's prize money. That's not like credit or
Hmm.
it's actual money
Right.
they get. Do what they want with. Second place gets 30,000. And third place, Marvin B is really wanting to bring steak knives and give it to them. So um, that's what's happening.
Yeah. Uncle
Uh,
Marv, the guy who has a live stream right after this live stream on Wednesday nights. Um,
mhm.
so if people want to go and see the other 23, I'm assuming there's a recording from the channel program pitches,
Oh, yeah.
and
So
MSP
there's
Media
so much more.
Network, I think, did a lot of webinars.
Yep. Between Marv did a podcast with all 26 with
Okay.
me. Um, and then MSP Unplugged with Paco, LeBron, and Rick Smith. They did recordings that they put out as well. MSP Media Network with Ray, and then and Adam Boletsky with Sierra Pacific Group. All four did all 26 with me. Like each program was a little different. Some were individually being interviewed as a company, and some were part of like two or three on a panel sort of. So, but no matter what, you can get to hear about them there. And then also, yes, with the channel program, they did record all the actual 5 minute pitches. Difference in the two is it's a 5 minute pitch. The other ones were
Sure.
actual like interview like we're doing right now, talking to the person about them,
Right.
where they came from, why they did it. Because I don't think it's fair to rate people just. I don't think it even happens that way either. Just on looking at somebody's product. Typically, as you know, when you buy from somebody, it's because you actually know who they are. Everything is relatable. And again, big thing about this, over 70% of the businesses that come through this program were or are currently MSP owners. So you're talking about people that come from the actual audience they're talking to. That's who, 3 years ago, Traceless.io won, Gene Rich. He's still an
Yep.
MSP in New York.
Yep. And we just had Gene on the podcast a couple weeks
Oh, nice.
ago. Traceless is a brand new vendor partner of all things MSP. Um, as is channel program. I should mention the channel program is as well. And I am actually co-hosting channel program Engage in a couple of weeks. So that's
Nice.
going to be exciting.
That's really cool. By the way, I just realized there's a button down below that says light or dark. I just went to dark mode. This is really nice. It's like, wow, look at that. It was better on the eyes.
There you go.
I got excited. No, yeah. So yeah, I don't want to make this all about pitch it, but yeah, those guys deserve all the best for what they do, right? And actually, of the 26 vendors that were in this year, um, let me see here. We have actually from the last 2 years, even we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21 sponsor IT Nation Connect. You'll see them this year. You'll see most of them right in the kiosks because the pitch it vendors they get a
Right.
special rate and they get the kiosk area. And I think we have 15 or 16 there in the kiosk area. Um, and I think it's right in front of the solution pavilion too. It's like literally in the corridor before you walk in the solution pavilion. So they're there the whole time. You're going to see them before you even walk in. So that's where I'll be hanging out.
So one of the things that people who are going to IT Nation Connect next week can do is check out channel programs, those quick pitches, figure out which ones you actually want to go see and make
Yeah,
sure that you spend some time at those kiosks and those booths.
absolutely. You should. You're all looking to do a stack alignment. You're all looking for the best vendors. A majority of these guys, by the way, if not all of them, even are also part of ConnectWise's Invent certification program, which a lot of people don't know what that even is. So we're making a big push now to make people understand the importance behind it. What it is certified integrator program is where these vendors they have to reinvest into our ecosystem, and they're doing it through this Invent program where they're actually going through a certification process. We're doing an API evaluation and integrate, and we're actually looking at what the integration consists of. So it's not just like we're just one thing I hate is when like, do you integrate into this platform? And when you ask why, they're like, well, because the other people do. Well, what's it do though? What's the use case for it, right? And so we make sure that that use case makes sense. We look at the integrations. We make sure so it's not any vendor can just integrate into us. That's
Yeah.
not what this is. This is not a this isn't a land grab, right? This is actual vendors that can use our that actually support the mission of the MSP and should integrate with us. And as robust as our products are, between PSA to RMM to cybersecurity to whatever, we literally have a lot of open ends to work to integrate into. So
Right.
these guys all go through this, and they also get security checks done too. So like literally, we vetted them out for you, and you can find them in our marketplace. You can literally click in the marketplace, search something, and click on certified integrators and see who we have vetted out for you.
And that's a really important point these days, because when you're talking about adding a vendor to your stack, right? There's a process that you need to go through to make sure that that vendor has done everything that they should to make themselves secure, so that they're not as much of a vector, as much of a risk
Yep,
to your business and your clients' businesses. And so if ConnectWise is doing some of that in advance, it's going to save you time, obviously, when you're trying to get to those vendors and vet them yourself.
absolutely. And put it in perspective, if you go and you could literally shop for our invent program is large. There's a lot, almost all, like I think we have like 90 different vendors in there right now that are certified integrators. So chances are you're probably buying other ones too that are in there that are part of that. So you already know, other than some anomaly piece that you buy external from China, which we know happens too. But you know, if you do that, that's your shop at your own risk. But if you're doing anything around the fact of anything that's within our program, you know you're already secured with it all.
Yeah.
It's a done deal. You know? So I highly recommend people look into that just that way because it is a very good deal. It makes it easy to shop. Plus, a lot of times they offer promotions because they work with us and you're working with us and they want to make more business. And you can
Yep.
find it all through the marketplace, every bit of it. So I think we did well covering all that so far.
Yeah. And I did want to spend a significant amount of time on Pitch It, because I really
Mhm.
do like that program and what it does for new vendors in the space. So I
I
appreciate that
think
ConnectWise does that.
I think we can relate to the fact of how many vendors come and go because they don't have staying power because they can't get the ball rolling. People don't know they exist. They have a great product and then it just goes away because nobody bought. So to get your name out there is so important that you
Yeah.
that people know that you exist. Otherwise, you're
Well,
irrelevant.
it's not just that though. Because you guys provide them with coaching as well. And
Absolutely.
it's another example of how this channel, the MSP channel, very specifically tries to help everybody. Like,
Hmm.
we're not a very closed system when it comes to, you know, trade secrets and stuff. I mean, everybody has proprietary information, right? But when
Yep.
it comes to best practices for being a vendor in this space, or being a partner in this space, or how to design your stack, or security thing, everybody shares to, improve the entire community. And to see that happening on the vendor side as well is just another facet of that.
I agree. Well, let put it in perspective again. Our cameo coaches that we had people like Jay McBain and Michelle McBain, Heather Margulis. You know, all these people that they have their own lives. They had their own careers,
Yeah.
and none of them charged us. They did this just because we're all cool. Basically, like they see the value in it. They're like, hey, I like you guys enough, and we're good. And they can see value in helping the vendors. That's why they did it, and they literally allocated time to create content, to do a workshop. Also shared their contact information with every one of them and said,
Yep.
feel free to reach out to us whenever. I mean, that says a lot, and it's to your point of like we are pretty close. We're very close, I think, and we all succeed together. So I totally appreciate everything about it.
Keith says it's like we're all family, like
Yeah,
Sean and
I'm
I.
sure he, I'm sure he did.
All right. So I know that there's at the very top of the agenda this year, there are five, and I don't know what you call them, but I mean, you guys are calling them the five noteworthy session tracks, but this is where the rubber meets the road in terms of education. And I know there's been a lot of criticism about shows not being as educational as they should have. And I
Mhm.
think that by having, ConnectWise put these front and center at the very top of the agenda shows ConnectWise's commitment to education.
Oh
You've,
my. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I
Go
mean, you've
ahead.
got business operations and strategy,
Mhm.
you've got cybersecurity operations and sales, employee development and retention, which is a big one for MSPs because they're not very good at that kind of stuff.
Mm.
And we now have a cameo appearance from the cat. Um, hey Taz, go sit down somewhere. Um,
He did right there.
it's one of her favorite spots.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
customer acquisition and retention, which we all know that sales is a big thing for most
Mhm.
MSPs because we came from technical backgrounds first. And then obviously this is a ConnectWise event, so there is going to be some ConnectWise product education. Because
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm a vendor in the space. I've been a vendor in the space with several companies, and product education is important. Partners want it. So
Right.
it's good that you guys aren't leaving that out to just appear as you're trying to bring all the business stuff together.
Oh, spot on. And well, well, it goes one step further even. So you and I talked about this a long time ago. We, the modes theory and modes assessments we talked about, right? Which is built by this is built by the MSPs. This isn't us. This is MSPs building this. And what is the important piece behind this is that we literally let me mute this. Look at that. I clicked on it so I can comment on our own. I'm going to put the link in the chat here for you. So I just did that. So every one of the sessions has a modes assignment to it. What modes is, and people can take this. I put the link in there. You can take a free assessment as an owner, as a leader, and even for your clients. They broke it down into 4 categories. What mode you're in, and you're either a startup, a balance builder, a value builder, or an empire builder. That's the basic bucket you fall in, one of those. The importance behind all this is that, and let me back it up. The difference is when you're in there and you take the assessment, it's a mixture of your mentality, your personality with operational maturity. It's not a long one. It takes 10, 15 minutes to take this. So I recommend anybody do so. But the importance behind this and why we're pushing this so much, it gives a common language for everybody to understand because you kind of understand what your starting point is. So if you come in as a value builder or a balance builder, the difference between those guys, is exactly what it sounds like. You're a startup company. You already know you're wearing 2,500 hats, and you're basically you're the boy with the dam, and you're putting your finger in the block the water, right? That's basically until you can figure it out, right? But balance and value builder is where it becomes really interesting. A balance builder is somebody that's established, but they're doing this for almost like a way of life. It's just a lifestyle business, right? They're all happy doing their job. They have a staff of 2 to 10 people, whatever. There's no real size to it, but they're literally that's what they're doing. A value builder is somebody that constantly reinvests into their business, into their employees, and whatever it may be, right? And an empire builder is exactly how it sounds. You're literally you're lighting it on fire, right? You're
Yeah.
going to get money, you're growing exponentially, you're acquiring other companies, whatever it is you're going to do. Now, the reason why it's so important to have all this and to identify with this, and the reason why the leadership one was built too, is because one thing that I learned from interviewing MSPs, and we found out as a whole that did this, and they really practice this in the Evolve Pair group, is they weren't aligned with their staff on the actual vision. When you talk about communication, and this comes back to retention and hiring and development of employees, right? The problem most of them had was they thought by telling them what their day-to-day responsibilities were was the communication needed to be on the same page. Day to day, they were on the same page. You're a tech support, 1, 2, or 3, whatever, you know what your job is, right? Your process is built. Let's talk about how many tickets happened yesterday. That's whatever, right? Um, but really it's about understanding where we're all going together. Like, where does the owner want to go? and empowering his or her employees to follow suit.
Yeah.
We are going to work with you together because we are trying to become a company that goes from 1 million to 10 million in 2 years. And here's how we want to do it. And this is why we want to do it. And it was really about the commonality of talking about it. So every one of these sessions at IT Nation Connect will have an assignment of, well, not from the vendors that are involved, but from the ConnectWise call people will have a mode involved with it. So oh, I'm a value builder, I should be at this one. If you're going to pick between 3 different breakouts, and you see one at value, one at balance, and one at empire, whatever one you fall under, maybe that's the one you want to go to because that's what it's built for.
Okay. So before they go, they need to go to this modes theory and figure
Take
out
the assignment.
which
Yeah,
which one. Yeah.
absolutely. And if you have any of your employees going with you, have them take the leadership one. Have that way you both know, right? Or all three or all five of you.
Hmm.
I want you to understand this is not a lead creation thing either. Nobody's going to call you. Literally, it's going to spit out your report and it doesn't go to any salespeople. It doesn't go to anybody. It literally goes to, we have a database of who took it and what they are. So if you do want to talk to us, you can reach out and we
Right.
can talk through it. But otherwise, nobody's going to reach out to you on that. This is purely for you.
Well, that's good because I mean, I know for, having different tracks for technicians versus owners versus business people versus sales, that's been around, right? But they've always had to kind of self select, right?
Yes.
So you guys are doing
Mm-hmm.
it a little bit differently, applying a little bit of analysis to it and making it a little
Absolutely.
more um,
Yeah.
analytical.
Well, if you were to get serious about your COGS, right, and about your P&L, right, your next step would be to look at the SLI, right, our sleek.
Mhm.
That's that service leadership group. That's with Peter Gajawa on them, which is Paul Dimple's thing, right?
Right.
That's like if you really wanted to dig into P&Ls, or if you wanted to join the Evolve Pair Group, right? Either or both. You can do both, right? Which I recommend if you're doing one, probably do both. But that's when you get into like that full sleek report. Oh my lord, that's like page on page of questions, but that's digging into everything because you want to know. But the value in doing something like that, though, if you look at the numbers, they speak for themselves. We were looking at the study recently on comparing the difference between like Evolve members and the average MSP, right? And their EBITDA was about 20 to 30% better than the average MSP being part of that. So it gives you, again, if you're looking to figure out how to build and grow and whatever else and scale, that's where it comes from.
So Keith has a good question here. He's saying, if we go, do we have access to the recordings, especially the pre-days that we might miss? It would be great to have access to review what we learned as well.
I don't I don't think you do. I don't know for sure though. I can find out. I'm not
Okay.
for certain. I haven't. I historically have never seen them recording pre days. Now the ConnectWise. Let me rephrase this. I've always dealt with the non ConnectWise pre day stuff trainings with vendors that sponsor and whatnot. There was nobody recording those. The ConnectWise content itself, I'm not sure of,
Okay.
but I'll find out.
Yeah. It's something we can
I'll
find out for sure.
I'll ask. Yes. But yeah, it's. I mean, this should be a great year.
And so so on Wednesday, this all gets started in the morning with those pre-days. Good
Yep.
transition to the pre-days.
Right.
And uh, I'm not going to go into and list all of the different ones because I'm sure there's quite a few, but there's usually some type of value, especially if it's a vendor that you already use, or maybe one where you have something
There.
missing from your stack and you
Yep.
want to dive a little bit deeper, understand what they're doing, and some of the educational content that they're going to bring as well.
Absolutely. They're always again, I've been with other vendors doing this, helping them out. Even last year, the three finalists actually did a pre-day together and it went really well. You get some undivided attention because it's for 4 hours. You're in that room for 4 hours if
Yeah,
you're doing this. So in 4 hours, you have to cover. You have to make a decision. Can you really present for 4 hours? Most companies can't, not present. So it turns into a workshop type
right.
atmosphere a lot of times. And I recommend people get involved and check it out. But I recommend they do the morning one because pitches starts in the afternoon one. You don't want to miss pitches. It's way more fun. Let's be honest.
Well, and you've also from 12 to 2:30, you've got the IT Nation Gives, where it looks like
Yes.
we're going to be making dog treats for canines for warriors. Now, tell me a little bit more about that.
So people don't even know this. I didn't know until I came to ConnectWise. So I'm guilty of this also. That ConnectWise and IT Nation, they are huge into philanthropy. They do stuff. All IT Nation gives is around 24/7. Um, but during Connect, it's a great time because we have a lot of exposure that we can actually focus on some charities that we can actually generate revenue and donate to. Right. So this year, Canines for Warriors, which is awesome, and it's near and dear to my heart. And I will thank you, Keith, again. Keith donated $2,000 already to it. So, props to him for doing that. He didn't have to, but he did. But Canines for Warriors is awesome because their slogan is we save the dog, and then the dog saves the warrior. So they're literally going into no kill shelters and getting dogs at any age, and they're saving them and they're training them and making them ready for, I was going to say battle ready because it kind of is, for these warriors that have PTSD, so like horrific PTSD. And it's a phenomenal program. Now we're looking to try to raise $50,000. Every $25,000 we raise, we rescue a dog, and they will track the progress of the dog and with the warrior and everything. It's a very serious program. The
Yeah.
warriors have to apply, and they have to write up a letter of why they're so appreciative when they show up for graduation together, the warrior and the dog, because they train the dog, and then sometime before they've already identified the dog. What they match a dog to a warrior, but they bring them together on the location of where they are, which is in Florida, and there's one in San Antonio also. Um, but they bring them together to spend time together for a long period of time, weeks if not months, and then they train the warrior on how to work with the dog also. And the goal behind it is to make sure they're good first,
Uh,
and then they have a huge graduation, and the warrior writes a letter of appreciation that's read during the graduation to talk about it. Just talk about what the impact is.
yeah. Well, that's great. And I, for one, think that that's going to be a great event. And it's definitely a way that everybody can get involved because that's an open session, right? People can
Yes.
just go and,
They're there for 3 days. Actually, we have them on site for 3 days. The actual
wow.
Canines for Warriors will be there. The treat making is only day one. Day two, they'll be at the day two. I forget what they have day two. Crap. It's they'll be at the Marketplace Theater, doing a session. And on day three, and they'll be around for hours each day, by the way, walking around with the dogs and everything else. Day three, they will actually be doing some training sessions and showing what they can do, which is really cool. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. I think it's fantastic.
Neat.
Um, the I guess the important piece behind this all, though, like I said, is it really comes down to people just wanting to donate. Just, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's asking for a lot, but it isn't in the grand scheme of anything. I yeah, I don't know. I've donated. Keith's donated a bunch. I think we're already probably up to like $6,000 or $7,000, and we just started talking about it 2 weeks ago.
Nice. Nice. And
So
speaking of Keith, he has a comment here. He says, I think it's incumbent for those of us who did not serve to take this opportunity to give those who gave so much for us, especially around Veterans Day. And Keith, yes, 100%. I was just having this conversation with somebody, a friend the other day, about how I actually it's one of my biggest regrets in life was not serving because I think I would have been much better prepared for life had I done that first.
I
Um,
don't know. I don't know. I did 9 years. I don't know if I was much more prepared for life. Um,
well, it works for some of us, but not all of us.
no, I love everything I did, and I spent 9 years in the army. I got to do really cool things. I got to learn how to be far more productive, far more give the ability to be more resourceful, taking ownership, accountable. All those things that I think college teaches you that to a degree, right? But I also think that it's a little different when it comes
Yeah,
down to life and death.
I think there's a a lack of discipline that you don't get in college that you do get in pretty much any branch of the military.
Yep, I would agree. I actually put the link in the chat there if anybody wants to donate.
Thank you.
Um, something to and something to really acknowledge is the fact that this is we built this in such a way that every dollar you donate goes to the charity. Literally, we have gotten rid of all. There's no hard cost of anything we're doing for it. Any hard cost that does exist, we've covered. Like even the treat making, we paid for the ingredients. So any dollar anybody donates literally goes through and straight to them, every bit. So I again, I can't stress enough, and yeah, and honestly, it's a big deal, and we had a chance to interview 3 of the warriors so far, and each time Andrea Barrow, thank you to her because she's the one that brought this to it. She's one of the leads in the group for the philanthropy for us. So she's a big part of this. Each live stream we did, she would cry during the live stream at some point. One point, the warrior, he was crying. She started crying. I started crying. I'm like, this is ridiculous. We can't keep doing this.
Made
But
for
like,
great content, though.
oh my god, it is a live stream, so you can't get away from it. You can't hide from it. You know I mean, so a case in point, we had a gentleman named Joe, and Joe was like, before he sent us a his Google Drive access to pictures, right? It was, and so literally it's him and his dog everywhere, right? Everywhere doing things like in the mountains, in the water. I mean, around the country, doing all kind of cool stuff, right? We're like, so that's all I know. That's all I know at first. I know what his name is. I know the dog's name's Freedom. It's all I know so far, right? I don't know anything else. Next thing I know, we're talking. So we're on live, and I'm asking him for the first time, like, hey, so I was like, man, you got so many pictures, man. You and his dog have been together forever. He's like, no, it's only been a year. He goes, and I'm like, he goes, I had to make up for lost time. I'm like, what do you mean? He says, well, my PTSD was so bad I didn't leave my garage. I didn't, or my bathroom rather. I would sit in my bathroom and I would cry, and then I didn't leave. I didn't like leave my house for years. And then all of a sudden I get this dog, and this is just 1 year of life so far. So like he didn't go anywhere. He couldn't be around people. He couldn't do it. Now
Mm.
him and the dog go everywhere. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, wow. Like you aren't kidding. You are making up for lost time for sure. But and even the dog, I wish I had the link right now, and I don't. I'm sad. I'm mad that I don't. But the dog is up for the award for like the Purina Dog Chow Award, and he's going to be at the dog show with this. Him and the dog are going to be at this dog at the Purina Dog Show,
Uh-huh.
and he gets to be down there with the dogs that are competing for whatever. I'm like, this is really cool,
That is.
So it's amazing. And then the guys we talked to just last week, 2 of them, they both work for Canines for Warriors, and they're warriors that have PTSD that have dogs also. And the one guy, he was like, I didn't smile for 7 years, and now I smile all the time. My kids are like, you smile all the time, but he said for 7 years he didn't smile.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so for 3 days, you'll see the Canines for Warrior people and the canines themselves. They will be around. We will be promoting them heavily. We'd rather them get money for this. It's a great cause. And if we get to 50,000, or even at 25, we sponsor the first dog. Another 25, I'd like to do 100,000. Let's be honest. And I say this to all every time I do a live stream and I talk about this. MSPs, you guys know you won't be buying drinks next week, so you have no reason not to put $50 in or $100 in. You're not going to pay for a single dinner, a single drink. So
True.
you have disposable income next week. We know it.
Yep.
So yes, I'm done on that topic.
Okay. Well, I will. I'm just going to plug because I saw it. On Thursday morning, there's a 5K fun run supporting the Canines for Warriors.
There is. They want me to run it. I was like, I can't run.
No.
I will be there. We may have mimosas. I don't know yet. Waiting to find out.
So Wednesday, we have an opening keynote, a welcome keynote, and then there is the solutions pavilion is open after that.
The reception
So
party, solution
yeah,
pavilion.
reception party, solutions pavilion. that kind of stuff. So that's always fun. It's a great time to kind of meet everybody because that's where everybody hangs out, kind of that first night. And
Yeah,
then,
there's stuff going on all night.
yep.
So
And then Thursday, we get into some sessions, and there's the innovation keynote at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then we start breakout sessions from looks like 10:30 to about 4:20,
yes,
and then there's a keynote still to be announced um,
uh-huh.
at 4:45.
Always, always.
Well, surprises are fun, right? And
I mean,
then
it's a
you
surprise to me too. Who are you kidding? They don't even tell me these things anymore.
and
I'm
then you've
like,
got a pub crawl in the Solutions
yep,
Pavilion from 5:45 to 7, and then the IT Nation celebration from 7:30 to 10:30.
that's SeaWorld this year. If you
That's
haven't seen,
the party at SeaWorld.
yes, we didn't get to do it last year because of the hurricane.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And
So
they always have surprises.
so Keith's vote for the surprise keynote is Elvis. Just putting that out there.
He can't help it. He doesn't know he's dead yet. He keeps forgetting. But it's best, they say when they get when people like this get to this certain level of life, you just go along with it and act like it's really what's going to happen, like it's truth. Don't confuse them any more than they already are. That's what I've learned.
So, is there anything you can tell us about the party at SeaWorld? Like, do we know who the entertainment is or anything? No, we
Nope.
don't.
They don't tell us. I mean, somebody
Fair
knows. It's
enough.
not me because I would come on this show and tell everybody then. But like last year, it was the Sugar Hill Gang, which was really cool.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome, I have to say.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. The funny thing is, I saw them at the bar before that. And I was like, I know these guys. How do I know these guys? Like, because they were in the resort with us, and they were sitting there. They weren't like they were eating at the one restaurant in the hallway up in
Uh
the
huh.
upstairs. And I'm like, how do I know these guys? I kept looking. I was like, and like at one point, I think I was like stalking freakishly, like. And then I come down and they come on stage like, oh my god! I was like right next to him. I could have talked to him. And I didn't talk to him. I was very mad. I was very very mad. Yeah. Yeah, so no, we have the one keynote, which is the guy from Savannah Banana
Yep, that's on Friday.
that if anybody's not seen the Savannah Bananas, just go on YouTube and look them up. If anything, when MSPs or even vendors are trying to figure out how to differentiate themselves, he took America's favorite pastime in a town that had nothing good for it with that
Hmm.
team. Like they were like a minor league team with whatever, and reimagined it because everybody loves to use the word reimagine. And he created the Savannah Bananas to what they are today. And they're sold out for the next several years already. They
Wow.
don't have a
Yeah,
game that's not sold out.
I have some friends who live in Savannah, and they are big Savannah Banana fans.
I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely freaking amazing. So if you're trying to figure out, if you can't figure out how to do that, look what he did.
Yeah.
Look what they've done as an organization. And by the way, they don't market. They don't have a marketing team. I didn't know that. I thought they did for the amount of stuff I've seen about
Really?
them.
Yeah, because they put a lot of stuff on social.
People were sharing it. People were commenting. People were posting their own stuff. They put on a great performance. They focus everything on the performance,
Wow.
which is what you as MSP should be doing on your presentations, which is what I teach the pitch vendors to do. Put everything like Steve Jobs did. Not a huge fan of Steve Jobs, but I'm a fan of Steve Jobs' concept and his perspective on presentations and how important they are. It is like literally. I mean, think about it, if you watch the movie where he was yelling about turn off the exit light in an all dark auditorium and nobody understood the importance. And he's like, it has to be. It's another piece of light. It's going to cause distraction. Everything has to be here. I mean, he even sold his business off of having not even a product to pretend like he did. Apple rebought him with all that money with nothing even working
Yeah.
based off of how good he was at presenting.
Yep.
With that, I mean, that shows you the importance of presentation and being on point. So again, that's what they focus on. And I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, and
I'm
it shows you where passion can take you, right?
absolutely, but passion in the right place for right things.
Yes.
That's the thing. Like you gotta. I mean, I love that. One thing I think we can agree on is that MSPs their biggest strong suits are client success and support.
Right.
That's right there, first off. Second is their ability to build those relationships with their existing people.
Yes.
They literally they're at they're at their clients' kids' graduation all of a sudden. They're at weddings, they're at with their clients. They build really strong ties like that. The weakness typically is the spearheading of this relationship,
Right.
finding more relationships, and presenting what their value is and getting the money they are supposed to get for the work they do.
Right.
Which is another long conversation we get into about people and how they price. But that's for another day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whole books have been written on that subject, right?
I know. I
So,
know.
and if you're looking for one, what package price profit? I think price
Oh
package
yeah,
profit, something like that. Nigel Moore, look
Nigel
for it.
Moore. Yeah,
You'll find it.
yeah. He's the
Um,
man. Nigel's the man, and he's the most laid back dude, and still gets it.
oh yeah,
He's not a he's not a sales guy in any way, shape, or form. He's just him.
yeah,
He just understands what his value is.
yep.
It's ridiculously. It's awesome. So anyway, yeah, I'm done with that. Next.
So I think what I want to, really kind of talk about next is from your point of view, what do people coming to IT Nation need to know before they get there?
I think first and foremost, you should have downloaded the app by now, the IT Nation app, and you should be literally plotting your course of what's going to be applicable to you and things you want to see. So that agenda on the website is literally listed per every single session of every single half hour to an hour, the whole entire time. So make sure you do that. Second, when you're doing this, have a I know for some people, this is a great trip to get away from. I get it. So if that's what you're using it for, and you then come and be ready to network, be ready to talk to your friends, be ready to hang out with people, be ready to do whatever it is you're going to do. Right? That's fine. But if your intent is to learn things, don't keep watching the same people because you like them. Go look at other people too. Go to their breakout sessions too. I mean, there's a lot of great breakout sessions. And there's a lot of really good speakers with a lot of really good content. So make sure you go check it out. And then when you do, if you don't like, if what they covered wasn't sufficient for you, tell them. One thing we do surveys for every session to improve. When you guys don't do surveys and then you want to bitch about it later, you missed your opportunity. We don't want to hear you bitching. That's not productive. So, pick a way that people can take the route, the path we gave you all to actually make it to improve it, right? But again, these vendors, these speakers, they're all getting on stage and are trying their best. So go learn something from them and go give them feedback to help them learn too, to improve whatever it is they're presenting. But I do think you need to, again, the app, get there early, get ready, um, and then also be ready to mingle with people. There's a lot of ridiculously established MSPs there that have been in our ecosystem for quite some time. If you don't know what to go do, ask them. They're
Yep.
around. They know. They can tell you. Like they can tell you exactly who to deal with, where to go, what to do, whatever it may be. Or even vendors. There's a lot of our vendors literally don't sell anything to anybody while they're there. They're so happy to be there also that they're willing. I mean, and they'll buy you drinks too. Don't forget. So why not? But leverage that stuff.
Well,
You
because it's
know,
about the relationships, right? And one of the important things, and you kind of touched on it with the mingling piece, right?
yeah,
Is there are so many different flavors of MSPs out there. You talked about it with the modes assessment, right?
mhm,
Um, you know, find the people who are doing MSP the way you want to do it and ask them questions because they will
absolutely.
share. They will share.
Agreed. I honestly, if you're going to talk to the easy, quick suggestion on that, look for the evolved peer group members that are there. They're MSPs that have matured to a certain degree or are in the process of going through the maturity aspect of it, and they can tell you things they've done. They can tell you where to go, what to do. They're not here to push a product or a certain solution. They're going to say, well, let's look at your operationally what you're doing, and they'll talk and they're also willing to work with you.
Right.
That's the I guess the one thing I really like, and it comes back to what you said earlier, even about pitch it and the community coming together. It's applicable across the board from vendors to partners. It is completely the same, where everybody's willing to to take some time, share knowledge, share experiences, good, bad, ugly, whatever, right? And help you. So why not?
Yeah.
I think it's a dumb thing. You go, I hate it when anybody comes to a conference and goes to their room. And then when they
Yeah.
come out of the room, they go out somewhere else, away. Why? Like if you're using this as a vacation to go away from your family, I get it. Got to go to this conference, see your family. Fine. I can't fix that, right? But if you're actually there to figure out what you want to do, like and how you're going to improve, go do that. And don't buy every vendor's stuff that you talk to right away. Actually vet it out for yourself. You know,
Yeah.
how many of my friends that are MSPs come back with like, I bought 5 different solutions, and okay, are you ready for them? No. Well, why'd you buy them? Vet them out the
Well,
right way.
yeah. I mean, determine your need before you buy
Yes.
something, right? Because, the vendors are trained to, tell you how you're going to make money with something,
Yeah.
which they may be perfectly right.
Yeah.
And there's nothing against that. But make sure that it fits into your product offering and what your clients need before you go off and start buying things. Um,
I would agree. And also think about it this way. We applied the modes piece to these for a lot of them. So if they fall under a mode that you're at, that means that they're able to help you at the mode you're currently at. So if you're looking between two potential products you may talk to, two different companies, and one is presenting at the mode level you're at, operation maturity level you're at, and the other one is at a higher one, chances are you're not going to be able to get to work with them if you don't do it the right way.
yeah.
Again, some products require more services than others. Fact. They require more investment in time and labor than others. Fact. Some don't. So if you don't have the people or the time,
Yep.
then you don't look at them. That's a foolish investment. And you're going to be mad at them in 3 months anyway, not wondering why you paid for it. And you'll probably want to see people on the MSP subreddit complaining about it.
So let's, because we probably need to wrap this up pretty soon. Um,
Yes.
Make sure everybody, gets a little bit of a break before they go watch Marvin B. Okay.
Yep.
Little plug there. Um, so I would say, and I want you to add if I forget anything. Number one, go with the knowledge that you have gaps in your stack, right?
Yep.
So find those gaps in your stack so that when you get there, when you get to the solutions pavilion, you know what type of vendors you're looking for so you can spend time with the right kind of vendors for the needs that you have.
And maybe it's not even a gap in your stack, right? Maybe first you don't know what you don't know. Can we agree on that sometimes? Which happens often. You don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know, how about you just talk to somebody and ask them what they're doing when you get there, even? Or look for somebody that's given a breakout session on something you're on, like back to people developments or something like that,
Yeah.
or retention of customers. Why not look and say, okay, who's in that? And actually, you know what? You can communicate with them on the app if you don't want. You want to find them on LinkedIn, go ahead, or Facebook, or wherever they are. But you can communicate with that person doing the breakout session on the app. I assure you,
Right.
every speaker will talk to you prior to.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, because that's what kind of community this is. Now,
Mm-hmm.
going back to the stack for a second, I do want to mention a tool that's available to every MSP, and that is Channel Program's new Navistack.
Oh yeah, which is dope.
So that's a good way. If you don't really have a good idea of your stack, go put your stack in there. It will help you visualize your stack and see where you have some gaps and those gaps that you can look for. Um, I know. So Keith is asking about the event ID, and looks like Mike Schwartz is in there helping out with the event ID to get the app
Thanks,
set up.
Mike.
So thank you, Mike. Um, the second thing that I wanted to say, and it goes back to what you were kind of talking about, is make sure you know what kind of business you're trying to build so that you know what to describe it as when you're talking to other peers at the event. So you can find your group of peers who are doing MSP the way that you want to do MSP, right?
Back to the modes assessment, right?
Yes, yes. And modes assessment would be the tool that I would say that's one of the ways that you're going to figure out where you're at and where you're going
Yep.
in terms of goals.
Find your people. Find your people.
It
And
will help
honestly,
you
if you
find your
don't,
tribe.
absolutely. and the reality is this: if you don't know where or you belong, come find me. I'll help you find it.
Oh yeah. Well, there's tons of us who will. Like, um, any of the people
Absolutely.
that are active in this community, even vendors, right? A lot of the vendors who have been around, they'll freely, have a conversation with you, and to your point, buy you a drink. So,
At
that's
least one.
it's a thing. It's a thing. And those opportunities are going to come up if you proactively search for them, right? You do have to get out of your shell a little bit. You have to know what you're looking for, that kind of thing. Again, speaking of knowing what you're looking for, definitely download the app. There's probably a way to tag the different things that you want to go to, I'm assuming. But
Yes.
at the very least, it'll help you put together some type of schedule so that you're making the most of your time.
It has push notifications. It has everything in the app. So
There you
literally,
go.
you can schedule. You can click on everything you want to do, and it will tell you, don't forget, 15 minutes prior, don't forget you're going to be part of this. And you can go be part of that. And also, there's a map on there too, so you don't know. It's not you won't know where to go. There's no excuse for you to be able to do it. And also,
Yep.
be ready to come and build relationships,
Yep.
because that's the strongest part. That's the biggest part of this is the relationships.
Yep. That was the
You
biggest
know,
thing that changed me when I started going to events as an MSP.
yeah. It's even as a vendor, the same rules apply. The same rules apply as vendors. And because I didn't come in as an MSP, I came in space as a vendor.
Right.
I came in accidentally. Let's be honest. I had no idea what I was doing. I was going. I helped my friend 15 plus years ago, almost 20 years. Wow, yeah, wow, almost 20 years ago. Um, and he was an IT guy. That's all he called. I'm an IT guy. I do these things, and I worked with him on helping him grow his business because he was a good friend of mine. He was losing a client. I'm like, let's talk about it. And then I learned what MSPs were before they were called MSPs. He was just an IT guy,
Yep.
and he also did IT staffing because he was staff himself at first. He was consulting. He was the staffer. He was the staffer and the staff, and
Yep.
and then he started actually finding people and staffing them. And he was like, "Why don't I just own the business and outsource the business?" And that's what he started doing, which was so smart. He
Right.
understood it because he would have more control over things being delivered right. He wasn't getting later on
Correct.
complaints from companies saying that person doesn't know how to do this stuff. Work in Python. Okay, well, he did, so we're good, right? And so it's that simple. It's just be ready to do all that. Just be ready to be engaged. Be ready to have long days of tons of content, but good people. Have some drinks, have some dinners, go to parties, enjoy the entertainment provided by everybody because there's a lot.
Yep.
Just be an active part of the community. That's the biggest. Our one ask is be an active proponent of the community itself. That's it.
Yep. That's it in a nutshell. Well, thank you very much, Sean, for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody, go find Sean, get his autograph at IT Nation next week, and
No,
and there'll be a lot of people there. It'll be great. Um, and Sean, I'm going to go ahead and put you off into the green room as I close this out tonight.
awesome. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it. See you all. See you next week, man. See you all next week. Whoever's going to be here. All right. Doodles.
See ya. All right, everybody. Thank you very much again for joining us for an All Things MSP Live. Do appreciate everybody in the comments tonight, especially Keith. Always glad to have you here, pal. We've all kind of been in this business together for a long time, so it's glad. I'm glad to get your perspective on it. Now we are coming up against 8 o'clock Eastern time, and 8 o'clock Eastern time, of course, is when Uncle Marv's IT Business Podcast live stream starts every Wednesday night, right after this podcast, after this live stream. So please go ahead and join him for that. I didn't look up who his guests are tonight, but he's always got good guests. So check that out. And other than that, I'm going to roll the credits. See you next week. Thank you for watching All Things MSP Live. Join the All Things MSP Facebook group or follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. The All Things MSP live stream is a BizPow LLC production. Thank you to our vendor partners, Channel Program, Choice Cyber Solutions, Kamanja, Marketopia, MSP Hire, MoveBot, Shield Cyber, Traceless, and Zen Contract.